Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. I cannot wait to introduce you to today's guest. She is a dear friend of mine, and she is offering something truly, truly special. I am joined by Sarah Poe, who is a mother, a spiritual guide, and what she beautifully describes as a midwife of the soul. Sarah's work weaves together AstroSophy, which we're going to get into, so don't worry if you don't know what that word means yet. True sidereal astrology. Again, we're going to talk a lot about the differences between different types of astrology, as well as gene keys and human design, and elemental embodiment, of which I am also a facilitator. And she uses all of these beautiful tools to create what she calls a soul blueprint, which is a multidimensional map designed to help you reconnect with your innate gifts and divine nature. She is rooted in a very deep reverence for indigenous wisdom, as well as the Magdalene mysteries and the living wisdom that is here in nature on this earth. And I just love her so much. She offers such a beautiful perspective that feels both ancient and also profoundly relevant to the time that we are in. It is a message directly for you as a modern seeker. Her work reminds me that awakening isn't about becoming someone else or taking on someone else's path or dharma or teachings or trying to live the life that's worked for someone else. It's actually about deeply remembering who I am, what I came here for. And it's the work that I love to do with my clients too, which is to go beneath the conditioning of our modern world, of our family, of our lineage, of our culture, to get underneath the surface, below the striving, below the patterns, below the stories that we've inherited, to truly own and embody what you came here for, who you truly are at a deep, deep essence level. And so in this conversation, we are going to explore some of the differences between these tools, but also how we can bring these tools together to really develop more self-trust, to understand ourselves in a deeper way, to learn the path that we came here to be on, what we came here to help support other people with, and how to do it in a way that's truly embodied. And so I hope you love this conversation. It's all of the things that I am learning about and immersing myself in right now. I love this work so much, and I wanted to share it with you because it's a beautiful enrichment to the ancient practices of yoga. It reflects the teachings, the Vedic teachings, and also the spiritual tantric teachings of yoga so deeply. It's just an incredible marriage of these two worlds. So let's dive in. Hello, I'm here today with the ever so beautiful Sarah Poe, my dear friend. How are you?
So good, so good. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me today. I am obsessed with what you do. Tell everybody, because it was new to me when I met you. And so I don't think it's very well known. Tell everybody listening what AstroSophy is.
Mm. It was new to me until like 7 years ago too. So, AstroSophy comes from the word astro and Sophie. It's star wisdom that's aligned with Sophia Christ. Uses the life and ministry of Yeshua, of Jesus, to contemplate the stars.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so, from my understanding, it's looking at the sort of celestial significance of biblical events.
Yes, then and now. But
Right.
the
Okay.
root foundation of it is definitely rooted in his miracles and his life and his birth, the conception, um, taking like the mystical translations of the stars in the Bible uh,
Mm,
to, yeah, to contemplate the stars and our relationship with the stars.
amazing. So, this is interesting because I think, like, a lot of Christians, my mother included, are very, like, suspicious and even disliking of astrology, thinking that it's sort of like evil and that we shouldn't do it. And I know that you come from a very fundamentalist kind of Christian home and background as well. So, how did you get into this path and what was that like? Kind of, I guess, coming out of the astrological closet.
So true. Definitely not something that I thought I would do as a child. Let's just say that. I didn't go to college for this. It wasn't on the like life's path dream. It was a God thing for sure. My dad was a Baptist minister in West Virginia, Southern Baptist evangelical. My grandfather was the same, my great grandfather, and so on. And my dad left the church when I was 14. He's now an incredible mystic. He's a spiritual director with hospice. And his path kind of paved the way for me to be a curious seeker. And I definitely did not choose this path, but it was about a decade ago that I realized on my birthday that the sun was in a different placement than I had known it to be. And that sparked a curiosity in me to seek, like, why is the sun June 6th not in Gemini? Why is it in Taurus? What's happening? That was kind of the beginning of my journey.
Mhm.
AstroSophy came in after I had already been studying and teaching human design, gene keys, and astrology with a divine awakening every night at 3:33 in the morning from God. So it was that. That's the thing that you don't ignore. So I would wake up at 3:33 in the morning, like, Groundhog Day, and this wrestling with this idea of Christ astrology, Christ astrology. I'm like, there is no such thing as Christ astrology. I'm going back to sleep.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And then one night I was just wide awake and I started Googling stuff. And I'd already researched Rudolf Steiner. And that night I found AstroSophy, Willie Zushi's work that's connected with Rudolf Steiner. And I ordered a bunch of books. I don't even know what I ordered in the middle of the night, but they started coming every day. Like, what did I order? And that was the beginning of my relationship with AstroSophy.
And this is the Rudolf Steiner of the Steiner school, like, and
Yep,
teaching method and the farming according to the,
yep,
like, stars and
hmm,
times of the year, and yeah, wow. Wow,
yep.
he was channeling some really interesting things.
He was. Yes,
Yeah.
biodynamic farming, the Waldorf schools. He had a
Mhm.
spiritual philosophy, and it was all rooted in a lot of it in Jesus's teachings.
Obviously, you kinda had this interest at this time already for astrology, and explain a little bit more because, this is also what I'm obsessed with, is this true sidereal astrology that you teach, which is what you were explaining of kind of looking at the sky or looking at a star map and realizing that the sun wasn't in Gemini. You've grown up your whole life thinking you're a Gemini secretly because you can't actually talk about it with your family. And then realizing like, oh, but the sun's in Taurus. What's that about? And so what is the difference between like tropical astrology, Vedic astrology, and then true sidereal astrology?
So, tropical will also be called Western astrology. And that system of astrology was created a few hundred years after Jesus dies by the Romans. So, the Romans are creating a lot of maps then. They commissioned Claudius Ptolemy to make a map of the stars. And at that time, the star map was true. He looks to the stars, he draws the map. That's the tropical or Western astrology map. Most of the colonized world has continued to use that map of the stars. The Vedics, however, did not. Indigenous people did not. People in Africa and in indigenous cultures continued to have a relationship with the stars and watch the stars with their eyes, just like the Magi did. And they had a spiritual relationship. So they witnessed the wobble of the earth, the movement of the stars. Even if you watch ancient apocalypse shows, he goes into these temples where every 72 years they were building a new temple to align with the stars, because every 72 years the wobble of the earth shifts us out of alignment with that map. So today we're about 24 degrees out of alignment with that tropical astrology map. So that's where true sidereal comes in. True sidereal looks at exactly the placement of the stars now in relationship to our individual self as well as the collective self.
Yeah, wow. That's so interesting. And you said something to me before, because I've been studying true sidereal astrology with you, about like this 72-year shift and how it relates to like humanity.
So every 72 years that we have this wobble, and then so I look at it as mother's heartbeat, because our heartbeat is also 72 times a minute.
Yeah.
So it's all connected, the microcosm, the macrocosm, and
Yeah.
as individual humans and this great big cosmos. Just little like God winks in it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so amazing. Like the little macrocosm fractal is just a reflection of the microcosmic fractal and vice versa. And it's so
Mm-hmm.
incredible when you start like seeing all those little hints and clues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you dove into like true sidereal astrology right away.
Yes.
And what was it that like made you go that route versus the Western astrology route?
Well, it was first figuring out that my sun sign was not a Gemini. So then I was very curious about that and I started to study that. And I really, like you said, I hadn't really studied the stars much because it was prohibited, you know. So was playing poker.
Yeah.
So it was prohibited. So it wasn't something like I really went down that path. But what I knew about Gemini was like, it's the dark and the light side. And I had, that's another part of my story, is being misunderstood for my genius and my gifts and being diagnosed bipolar very young in my 20s. So
Mhm.
when what I associated Gemini with was like, oh, I'm bipolar, like, and that's
Right.
connected to it, right? Which is also false. Sophie gives us this whole other description and translation and relationship with the stars.
Mm.
So I had a reading at the time, a friend that did this and started talking to me about Taurus as well as my human design. And all of a sudden I started to really awaken to who I am and understand myself and come into like a really deep love for like, why I'm unique and different and there's nothing actually wrong with me.
Mhm.
And it helped restore a part of my soul so deeply that then I wanted to share it with other people, of course, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is also something really interesting. So you've kind of started studying gene keys around the same time as going deeply into this true sidereal astrology.
Mhm.
And when I had a reading with you and you did my gene key chart and my true sidereal chart, like my sign stays the same because I'm born sort of at the end of Gemini on the cusp of Cancer. So a lot of my signs stay the same. Some of them change. But my human design type changed from a projector to a manifesting generator. And that was really, really interesting. So can you explain a little bit more about how, when you look at or map out like your true sidereal astrological star chart, which is the reflection of the way that the stars actually were when you were born, not based on some map that was created like, I don't know, 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
um, that how that then like changes how you understand yourself in the world, and how that also can relate to like human design and why your human design type would change, even if your astrological sun sign doesn't change.
hmm This was when it really anchored for me. Like, I was at the time for about a year, I was offering readings. The first reading I gave was to my dad because I wanted to see what my dad felt about all this first.
Mhm.
And he wept and was like, wow, that's a mirror of me. I can relate to that. So I was doing this for a while, but the way that I had been taught to do it was I was doing true sidereal astrology, but then the human design and the gene keys were both coded as they are through tropical. And I would be doing readings and just something felt off. And I would just kind of veer off and start sharing what God wanted to share through me. And eventually I just stopped doing it because something felt off. And I learned to handwrite these charts. So I started handwriting human design and gene keys through True Sidereal. And that's when things really anchored for me. And then I started offering it to other people that I trusted. And I would say, feel this into your own body and see what you feel is truth. And that's when it really landed that there was something here that was different than our tropical design. I look at the two systems like neither is better or worse or right or wrong. But the tropical design is kind of how we're programmed into the matrix, like Neo in the Matrix,
Yeah.
we're both. But when I received my soul's design, my soul's blueprint, the shift into my awareness and my relationship with my own genius just expanded in ways that have been profound. So that's why I do it. And human design has much more than just it's looking at the zodiacs, yes, and the planets, but it's a little more complex because we look at where the planets were when you were born, as well as where they were 3 months before they're born, and it's so nuanced that it can create a pretty big shift. Your design might stay the same,
Mhm.
but it probably isn't going to. It's probably going to
Yeah.
shift, as well as your
Yeah.
genes. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. So in human design, you're looking at where the planets were 3 months before you were born,
as well as when you were born,
and
both.
then when you're born.
Mhm,
Wow. Wow.
mhm.
And then that gives you, I think, like the conscious and unconscious, right?
Yes. It's a it's a system that uses the I Ching, which has been around for thousands of years, a sacred science that goes into these 64 hexagram or spiritual teachings.
Mhm.
And then it also uses the Kabbalah, the chakra system, astrology. And so it's helping us understand not only our unique genius, but how our energy body works in the world so we can know how unique we all each are and how we operate together. It's
Mhm.
really profound.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. There's so many, it's sort of weaving together a lot of different ancient systems into sort of a new modern way of understanding it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of work to handwrite all of these charts.
It is, and that's when the ceremony for me begins. Like, I am
Mhm.
working on, the having a computer program for it, right? I've taught other people how to handwrite these. But for me, it's a ceremony. Like, I'm going into prayer when I start to do it, and I'm working with this soul of this person, and it's something about just like journaling with your hands, that the handwriting, it's like I feel like a magi 2,000 years ago, like writing things out. And so, yeah, that's part of the ceremony for me. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something very I don't know, sacred and mystical about what's happening around kind of even looking at like these ancient, like you said, indigenous cultures looking up at the stars and actually like mapping out the stars as they were, noticing these shifts,
Yeah.
noticing this 13th sign that the sun and the moon and other planets move through as well, which I'm going to ask you about in a second. But I want to ask you about this idea of ritual and indigenous culture. And I know you have some Lakota blood in your background. How do you feel that's kind of connected to your ability to kind of be this channel or like this information that's coming through you and to you and yeah, how does it all relate?
I've always been very connected to indigenous ways, even growing up in West Virginia in the Baptist church. I'm not blood Lakota. I'm adopted Lakota from when we lived on the reservation. But if
Beautiful.
there is blood in my lineage, it's Cherokee that would have married into West Virginia,
Yeah, wow.
into my Irish and Scottish family there. But I've always been very connected to the indigenous ways. And I learned that from my grandparents too, even as being pastors, and they honored the land, they grew their own food, they lived in very harmonious ways with nature. So that's rooted and anchored in me. But I was always seeking it. And then in 2016, my daughter Monet and I went to the reservation in North Dakota when they were fighting the pipeline. And we lived there for a year. And that's when I really anchored into a deep love and respect for the Lakota wisdom and indigenous wisdom. So a lot of what I offer is in the ways of rituals. You could call it Christian mysticism that connects with indigenous wisdom,
Yeah.
because there's been a disconnection in that.
What do you see the similarity is between sort of the way that you were raised and then this time living like on the reservation and like learning the ways of this indigenous culture?
One major way was our relationship with food and how we grew our own food and how we honored the food, and how I've never had a meal that we didn't pray and give thanks in the beginning of it. That's the same way on the reservation. And even my grandfather had a church. One of his big dreams was to grow a garden that was big enough to feed the community. So
Wow.
like feeding the people was a ministry, and that's part of my childhood. My most treasured memories were being in the garden and growing food and then preparing a meal and going in to deliver it to people in our community.
Hmm.
That's very similar to indigenous ways that's passed
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's interesting this connection to like the land and nature and even community, like
Hmm.
true community, I think is something that we're a little bit disconnected from in our modern society. And I'm feeling it like a pull back to these ways, like where we're a bit more self sufficient and self sustaining rather than relying on these big companies to transport food to our doors. I don't know, to big grocery stores or something, or like being disconnected from the land and not like a part of it. I think there's something to coming back to that. And in that, maybe we're also getting more connected to the stars as well.
Yeah. Think about it like, well, some people still use the Farmer's Almanac, but biodynamic farming looks at planting crops around the moon cycles, harvesting around that. There is wisdom within it, for sure. But we were living in harmony with nature, as well as the offering of ceremony to give thanks. Like the very first harvest would be given back to the land, given back to our ancestors. Just like when we have a meal, for me, a Lakota practice that I was taught was the spirit plate. So before every single meal, the very first bite is a gift back to nature, a gift back to our ancestors, a gift to God, a gift that says, I'm grateful for this food that nourishes my body, as well as I'm grateful for God and this land that nourishes my soul. And so I learned that there, and that practice has stayed with me just as a way of giving thanks and connecting that unseen world with the seen world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so beautiful. It's so interesting. We were at the Tibetan temple. We go to a Tibetan Buddhist temple here in our city, and we were doing a ceremony, just chanting and different things on Wednesday night. And part of this ceremony, because it was a celebration of sort of the end of the month celebrating the Buddha, because it was a big Buddha month, his like birth and enlightenment and death and all the things. And part of the ceremony was them giving tea and food while you were chanting. And before you eat the food, you give a piece back to give to the spirits. Everyone puts it all on a plate. And I was thinking of you and your introduction of the spirit plate ritual to me. And I was like, oh, it's so interesting that this is actually a part of so many indigenous traditions and cultures, really honoring the ancestors or the spirits or God or, all
Yeah.
the beings in other dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bringing them in, inviting them into the celebration, into the meal.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. So tell us a little bit about this mysterious 13th sign that is not in the tropical or Western astrological chart. And of course,
Yeah.
it's my favorite because it's missing.
Yeah, Ophiuchus. Yeah. Ophiuchus is the 13th sign. It's kind of the bridge sign, and it's small. Another thing with true sidereal is there is sidereal and true sidereal. Of course, going to confuse us a little bit more. But sidereal has the 12 zodiacs in 12 even signs. But if you look at the starry constellations, some are much larger, like Virgo is the largest, our divine mother up there is the largest. And then signs like Scorpio are smaller. And so you'll see Ophiuchus is this small constellation that connects Scorpio with Sagittarius, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is the sign of the healer, the serpent. It connects us here with where Scorpio is death and rebirth. Then Ophiuchus takes us into what I would say is like the integration and the integration and the preparation to prepare us for Sagittarius, which is alignment. To have our bow and arrow straight and true, to be aligned with God. The word sin means to miss the mark. The word evil means God, or El is veiled, acting where God is veiled. So Sagittarius is all about getting into alignment with God, or what I would say is getting in alignment with our star, our
Yeah.
our star that we are here to share with the world. And so
Yeah.
Ophiuchus is that bridge, the healer, the bridge to wholeness. It's where we get the symbol, the medical symbol as well.
Right. Right.
Like,
The caduceus.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that because I think it relates very much to also like in India and in yoga and ancient Vedic culture, that sign of the caduceus and the serpents, and the serpent itself is a representation of the movement of the inner intelligence and the kundalini energy, that awakening, that whole process of coming into union with God or the divine or consciousness or reality. And you can't actually have that experience of union without the serpent. And so, of course, I'm obsessed with Ophiuchus.
And the fact that it's left out.
Why do you think it got left out? Did they just not see it, or what happened there?
They like the number 12. 12 became a really sacred number, and I think there was a lot of like keeping with the 12. I think what we're going to see, just like how in the last 300 years we've had Uranus discovered, then Neptune, then Pluto, then Chiron. So every single 100-year cycle now that we have technology to look beyond, we're meeting new planetary teachers. And I think that we're going to see astrology, AstroSophy, like these systems expand even more as we connect farther out.
Yeah.
And so, maybe this is just the time that we were reconnecting with that part of the zodiac with Ophiuchus. Definitely in a time period, Rudolf Steiner did say it. He says that this is the time when we will shift the starry script, because there's a new gospel being written in the stars, and it's time to receive that message.
I like that too, because I think there's something sacred about the number 13, like even in like, sort of ancient witchy circles, like 13 is a holy number. Even when you look at like Jesus and the 12 disciples, well, if you include him, it's 13, right? Like 13 is actually like kind of everywhere because like the 12 is the group, but there's usually like something there, like one that's
Mhm.
sort of leading or in the center,
Mhm.
right? Like the axis of the wheel. And so I think that that's kind of a beautiful revelation.
I think so too. And it teaches us like Scorpio is important, the death part of it. Scorpio's kind of been pigeonholed into darkness and death. But Scorpio is the only constellation that has two archetypes. It has a scorpion that's the sting of death and the eagle. Because every sting of death, every time we go through a spiritual death, we take the eagle's flight and we can see through new eyes, new perspective. That new perspective shifts us into the integration and true healing that comes through Ophiuchus, which is the spine. And we see even
Yeah.
in the Bible, they demonize the snake too, and
I know, the snakes, he's trying to help, man.
the it's about transformation and shedding our skin and dying
Yeah.
to the old, being reborn over and over and over.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think that's the other thing that we kind of get wrong when we're, like, thinking about spirituality and spiritual evolution is, like, the ego has to die many times.
Yeah.
And we think that, like, it's just gonna happen, like, "Oh, my ego's gonna die," or whatever, "I'm gonna transcend the ego and wake up an enlightened being." And it's like, it's a bit more like shedding skin,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. The snake is
Yeah, I
actually
think this
more appropriate for it because the
Yeah,
snake
very much
continues
so.
to shed its skin.
Yeah, and the snake is, like, constantly regenerating, and
Mhm.
like, yeah, letting the old identity, the old skin, the old form,
Mhm.
like, fall away. It's so powerful. It's such a beautiful metaphor for the spiritual process, I think.
And the spiral, the ficus is
Mhm,
also like this spiral, and I contemplate the stars, human design, and the gene keys, mostly the stars and the gene keys through the
mhm,
collective eye. So every single like my New Year's begins in Aries. And so
mhm.
every single new year is a new cycle, it's a new transformational journey. We have these incredible teachers that guide us every single step of the path. And Ophiuchus is a very important time. And it's only tiny. It's like we don't need to be in like the death and the darkness and the grief and the whatever, right? Bro,
Yeah.
it's only this tiny little bit of time. But it is. And then every year that spiral out of it to then drop into Sagittarius and it's go time. Fire.
Alignment.
Yeah, alignment.
Fire.
Element. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And I love how you like characterize the planets as teachers. I feel like that's also very aligned with the way that the Vedic sages understand the planets and their role in human consciousness. Like Jupiter is the guru, and Sagittarius is like the controller. I forget Sagittarius's name in Vedic astrology, but like kind of like the disciplinarian, the one who sort of
Mhm.
like controls all the things.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like they have different qualities and characteristics to them, and they're very much like, even like in India you would never get a haircut on Tuesday or start new things on a Tuesday because
Mm.
Tuesday is ruled by Mars. And so if you start new things on Tuesday or get a haircut on Tuesday, it's probably not going to go very well because Mars is like more about conflict and creating kind of challenges that would evoke strong emotions or strong sort of obstacles in your path. And so they're very like attuned to these things. And Saturday was always considered a rest day because it's Saturn's day. So
Mhm.
you should you know, like do spiritual practice at home and
Yeah.
not like go out into public so much.
Yeah.
And even in like Judaism and the way that the Old Testament set up Saturn and Saturday is like the resting day.
It was the Sabbath. Yep.
Yeah. And so I think it's really interesting when we kind of look at these planets and astrology, and all of that's based on astrology, and how, like, when you're attuned to these energies, maybe it is affecting you a little bit more strongly than you might at first imagine.
It's very true. Yeah. It originally, like, the stars were our calendar for
Mhm.
until
Yeah.
we had until we had the Gregorian calendar. The stars were our calendar. Even in indigenous culture, you would say you were how many winters old if you were born in the winter, right?
Yeah.
How many moons, how many winters. That's how we marked the time, was through the stars.
How lovely. I'm gonna start talking about how many summers old I am. That sounds great.
I know. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the gene keys, because this is kind of interesting, and I don't know so much about gene keys, but like, how do they relate to, um, I guess, like, to our collective consciousness and the movement of the planets in our world collectively?
hmm So Richard Rudd is our brilliant founder of the Gene Keys. Came through him through a vision, and I'm not sure what he would say, but according to most of the things I read, he would say that we can contemplate them just like opening them up. We could open them up to any single page and contemplate that, and it's because they're meant to be contemplated, they're meant to be chewed on and meditated upon. And also, according to where the stars and planets are, we each individually have this gene keys sequence, like a transformational sequence. There's three of them that helps us awaken our genius, our gifts. The Venus that sequence that helps us open our hearts and deepen our relationships. And then the Pearl path, which is our prosperity and service path. So those are based on where the planets were when we were born. So we have an individual blueprint. And then we also have the collective blueprints. Based on where the stars and the planet are, we move through all 64 of those gene keys every cycle of the sun, so every single year. So for the last 7 years, I've been handwriting those charts and then contemplating what the collective gene keys are, especially during prominent conjunctions or eclipses. And that has been profound,
Yeah, say more about
to
it.
say the least. It was like like a mad scientist in my room contemplating all these things and going back, like 3:30 in the morning, I'm looking back at um, different moments of war, different big prominent events on the planet, and looking up those charts and comparing them to things that are happening now. Then writing out the gene keys, and what I'm seeing is like a mirror in relationship to these cycles of these planets. And when we do have these big conjunctions, certain things happen then, and then we're replaying them out. So I don't think we're victims to the stars. The stars aren't making this happen. They're markers of time, as well as there is energy in it. Just like when there's a full moon, I live in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm at the ocean. You can't deny the pull of the ocean on the moon. King tides, we're going to flood. Half the city's going to flood just from the tide. That's some pretty big energy. So
Yeah.
when planets do conjunct, it is big energy. And some of the biggest shifts I've seen were in this last 7 years, seeing the big eclipse that we had that moved across the United States. And according to AstroSophy, there was a lot of key codes for where we're headed in humanity. And they all had to do with the theme of grace. It was,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, so the like, where the planets are in our sky would, like, determine a gene key. Is that
Yes,
how it works?
exactly. Well, when we're cycling
Mhm.
through this through the cycle of the sun, we're mostly looking at the sun in the gene keys,
Right.
where the
Okay.
sun. But if you can also write up which gene key Jupiter is in, because they're all in different signs. Yeah. So on that eclipse, I think we had 5 or 6 planets that were in gene key 22, according to AstroSophy. which is one of the key codes in the gene keys for the great change, the great transformation. I call it the great remembering, but I'm like, this is it. We're in this time of the great shift.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
interesting because you hear about people talking about this shift in consciousness and this shift that's happening between like 2026 and 2027. And to see like, oh, there's all of these planets in this one area of the sky, and that's all related to this gene key 22. And it kind of like marking sort of maybe the beginning of this shift or this
Mhm.
remembering.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it also, when you're looking at gene keys, it really gives you something beautiful to contemplate because you can see where we're aiming, like the highest frequency of this gift that we're really created in, and
Mhm.
then where we're off, where we're out of alignment. So where we're still in fear or victimization. And then that gives us something to work towards. That gives us something to like the 22nd gene key is the shadow of dishonoring. So where we
Mm.
dishonor ourselves and one another, and we can see where that has created war and division and scarcity and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And where the real gift and the acidic level there is grace. The solution is grace. The gift is grace. We're aiming for grace. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where humanity is. I see where we're headed and what is the greatest medicine for it right now. That's how I
Yeah.
look at the relationship with the stars. Like, what's the medicine here for you? Where have we had a conjunction like this before, especially with Mars, because Mars gets blamed on all of our wars, but there is like, so Mars is passion. But if we say, okay, what did we do the last time that there was this conjunction? And how can we shift? How can we make different choices and raise the
Mm.
consciousness of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so I love thinking about this and, like, looking at those gene keys of, like, sort of that healthy, normal state, but, like, what's aspirational or where do we wanna go versus, like, what's the shadow side of it or what gets expressed when we're living from fear rather than a healthy balance or even sort of a more enlightened awareness.
Yeah. Like, stop blaming Mercury retrograde on all your problems. It's like Mercury retrograde isn't causing all your problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pulling back of the veil a little.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so interesting, like, so for me to go from a projector, which I actually identify with a little bit for sure,
Mhm.
but to then switch to this manifesting generator, so this is like the human design categories, but within that, it's because certain gene keys are activated and others are not, right?
Mhm. In human design, you call them a gate of energy, the
Right.
same as a gene key, but they're gates in human design, gene keys and gene key. But yeah, because of which gene keys are yours, your gifts, your genius.
Right. So
Mm.
Richard Rudd was kind of looking at human design at these gates and like downloaded a whole bunch of information, like had some channeling visions come through him about each of the gates. Is that what happened?
He was friends with Rahuru, and I
Okay.
think I believe the story is Richard Rudd went to the same sacred space that Saint Benedict received his vision, and Richard was praying for a vision.
Mhm.
And in the same space as Saint Benedict, this whole download for the gene keys came through to him. Yeah, but he was friends with Rahuru and knew the human design system. He was the visionary on the planet that brought this deeper message through. And it's really, the gene keys are my favorite. I just love the gene keys because
Yeah,
I love contemplation and you just can sit and read one little paragraph and receive so much from it.
that's cool. I did not know that connection before about
Hmm.
Rahu Rue and Richard Rudd and them being connected so intimately.
Yep.
So, what changes, like, do you think if you're reading the gene keys? I guess this is maybe the objection is like, people feel like sometimes, like, well, don't we all have all of these gene keys? Like, what makes your specific gene keys or like going from like the projector to the manifesting generator and the different gene keys or gates that are opened or closed or flowing or not flowing? like, don't we kind of have all of them? Like, what makes it specific to us? And I think that this is people's argument with astrology too, right? Is that we get told something and then we kind of self-identify like,
Mhm.
oh, that's for me. But like, also it's like all of humanity. How do you like explain that to someone who's like wondering?
Good question. It's like I've had people ask me before why they can't be clairvoyant, clairaudient, like all the things, or why they can't have all of them. I think we would be, that's schizophrenia. Like and just from my own experience, I have worked with people that were on the spectrum or schizophrenic or bipolar. And when I look at their blueprint, you can see their genius that is there where the Western world sees it as a mental illness. That's another side note. But it's like, is it all within us? Sure. But are we all unique fractals of God on this planet with different unique geniuses that get to play together and co create together? Yes. I don't want to have all the things. And I have my unique role. And I think that, you know, that we've been and probably still are, in a bit of an identity crisis on the planet.
Mhm.
Everybody's deeply seeking their soul's purpose, their genius. And, the word disaster means, dis and aster is to be separate from your star
Mm.
or to follow the wrong star. And I sometimes look at the tropical astrology system. It's not that it's wrong or bad. It's just a little bit out of alignment. Astrology is a religion, just like all the other religions. And are they all a little out of alignment? Yeah, they are. There's a little out of alignment. So the real disaster is like not following the true star, not following
Mm.
your true soul's genius. And I think that that's where a lot of deep suffering happens on the planet, depression and these kind of things, is that
Mhm.
we've lost ritual ways and lost the gift of knowing every single soul has a different unique genius and you don't have to have all the things. So I see that in it. And then even when I'm working with people and doing readings, I'm not saying this is who you are. I'm saying I'm going to share this with you and I want you to feel within your soul what is true to you. Only you will know that because only you have that connection to God or to source creator. And then it's your responsibility from there.
Mm.
But what I
Yeah.
have experienced is a pretty profound shift in the alignment with the true stars. As you know as well, because we work with the body, with elemental embodiments, right?
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
was something happening with that too. Like where Dr. Brian and Chelsea Ray were seeing through the true sidereal a different opening in the body when that sequence hit that was different. So the body is mirroring it and it's teaching us something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that that's like really profound. And that for those listening, that's how we met. It was doing genius frequency work and learning through the elemental embodiment work. And in that, you're learning the frequency of your kind of genetic makeup,
Yeah.
in that what your energetic field is connected to through the
Yeah.
elements. And part of it is based on your true sidereal astrological chart. And some of it is also based on Dagara cosmology as well. And so, sort of this blending of indigenous tradition with also this star wisdom, which is so beautiful. And it's so powerful, just like how it works in the body and how it works in the energetic field and in the mind. And that's really what like also sparked my curiosity, because I was amazed. And also, I have this deep conviction for things to be the way they are, you know? And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden I was like, why are we using charts based on, I think that's why I never really like 100% resonated with Western astrology. I was always like, yeah,
Same.
it seems like a little superstitious to me.
Same.
But true sidereal astrology feels so alive and so rich and vibrant, like it's a living thing, like it's a living relationship because it's actually looking at the sky and what it looks like today. And as you say, like mapping out the constellations in their true size, which is incredible. Incredible. And then we have the technology to do it. So why not?
Exactly. That was what's so brilliant about AstroSophy too, is we finally had the technology to actually look back and pinpoint where Yeshua was when certain things happen. And then you get this whole nother language. Like during Aquarius, he walks on water. He feeds the 4,000. He turns water into wine. There's like it's all these key codes for abundance and co-creation and prosperity and this Aquarius thing. And thank goodness for technology. And also now it's time to like integrate ancient wisdom with what we have been gifted now.
So powerful.
It's so powerful. And it's felt within each of us, just like, like you just feel it, you know it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something that just really rang so true to me. And even hearing you speak about AstroSophy, it just felt like, water to my soul. Something about it was like, oh, this is how it was always supposed to be. Like we were always supposed to be in relationship with the earth and the sky and like bringing these aspects of our self together, like our celestial spirit with our human earthly body and like marrying the two and bringing them back into union. So powerful. Yeah. So you're going to be teaching all about the gene keys coming up. What is this program that I'm signed up for? What did I say yes to?
Well, after we finish our AstroSophy course, our second course starts in September, and we're deep diving into human design and the gene keys. So I'm very excited to give a new twist on human design and the gene keys through the heart and the language of AstroSophy. We're going to bring some indigenous wisdom and ceremony into that space. You don't know this yet, but we're also going to be talking about Mary Magdalene's 7 powers of the ego, because we're going to bring the Magdalene wisdom into that because it connects with the chakra system in human design. And learn how to look at our human design and our gene keys as the map or blueprint to activating the soul's brilliance and the soul's genius. So, it's going to be fun.
So excited. That's wonderful. I got the Mary Magdalene manuscripts. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I got that like a couple months ago. So I'm going to do some pre-reading this summer.
Okay. Perfect. Because we'll lead right into Christmas. We'll be doing this all through the fall. So.
And when do we begin?
We begin September 8th.
And maybe you'll have a free class for people to sign up to.
Yeah, in August 12th, I think will be our date. We're going to do a free little masterclass. You can drop in with me and learn a little bit more and dip your toes into it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm so happy that you said yes to coming onto the show today and for having this conversation. And we will put all the links in the show notes about where people can sign up for your masterclass and for the Gene Keys course that goes all the way till Christmas time, where we can celebrate Christ's birth and all of the things together.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for being in it together with me too.
So beautiful to be in your company. I hope today's conversation reminded you that as you go along your journey, that it's truly a path of self-discovery, and this journey isn't meant to be walked alone. Whether it's astrology or the gene keys or philosophy or yoga practice, simply gathering with others who share a longing for deeper truth, who have a heart for humanity and want to connect to the earth and to the stars and to our divine nature. Being in a community like this truly matters. If you would like to explore Sarah's work further, then I would encourage you to join her community, Living Stars School, where she continues to share her wisdom around AstroSophy, as well as our collective alignment with the true sidereal sky, so where the constellations actually are in the sky and what that means, and living in harmony with the cosmos. And if you are looking to find harmony on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and deepen your own understanding of meditation, elemental embodiment, philosophy, pranayama, and to have heartfelt connection, then I'd welcome you to join my Finding Harmony community. It's a place where ancient wisdom meets modern life, where you're supported in becoming more fully yourself. You'll find links to both these communities in the show notes. And again, if you would like to go deep and transform your life with me this autumn, reach out. It will be me and 3 other facilitators. So we cannot wait to support you on your own soul's journey, deepening the connection you have to your heart and to yourself and to your life. So until next time, keep listening deeply to the stars above, to the earth below, and to the wisdom within. And may you continue to walk along a beautiful path that unfolds in exactly the right time for you. Hey, before you sign off today, I wanted to invite you to an intimate group experience, a small group that Russell and I are curating. We're holding space for people who want to go deep. We're curating a beautiful experience with 2 other facilitators who are not just friends, but are family to us. And it will be happening in early November. This will be on the west coast of Canada, and it's going to be an incredible time to truly slow down, to get off your devices, a place to reconnect, and remember who you are beneath all of the noise of everyday life through art, therapy, yoga, meditation, breath work, and different embodiment practices, nature immersion. This weekend retreat will hold so much power and potential for your growth. This space will be held in a way that is truly there for your transformation, with care and guidance and the conditions for doing some very deep listening and deep healing work. I cannot wait to be offering this incredible experience to a very small group of lucky individuals who want to join us for this journey. So if you would like to be included in this journey or you want to know more, then please reach out to me. You know where to find me on Instagram at Harmony Slater Official. And I would love to share with you more details about dates, times, and places and costs for this incredible experience. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.